So yesterday, I get a phone call in the morning from my employee. News station wants to do a deal about securing firearms because there's entirely too many shootings going on. And a lot of them that involve kids. We had a couple kids locally in our area that died in a shooting incident sometime earlier this week. So I knew they were coming, and I set up my camera to see me, but in a spot where they couldn't see it. So this video is just kind of a behind the scenes in the gun store and kind of what it's like to get interviewed by a news station. So nothing fancy. Skip ahead, watch different parts. Do or don't. It's just one of those things. I thought it was interesting. Give everybody kind of a different perspective. We did have some customers in the store early on before we got to the interview part. So yeah, hopefully you enjoy. It's like I said, nothing fancy, but we did have a news crew come in, and they're never on camera. But hey, you know, it was one of those deals where I thought might as well.
I need a standard round, really.
Well, the G26 10 round is
Standard?
for the 26.
For the Glock? You don't want it sticking out too far.
Yeah.
You talking about the mag?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we don't have any in stock, but like I said, we can get them in. If you want to
What's the
leave
price
us,
on it?
all Glock mags are around the same price, between $30 $35 bucks.
It's so small, man. You need the extended mag.
Defeats the purpose of carrying it, though. That's the part that prints when it's on your body.
I'm telling you, that's too much. I can't. That's too much sticking out, man. It got to be good.
I'm saying like you might as well carry the big one.
$30 ain't bad.
Most firefights end in 3 to 4 shots on each side anyway. I mean, somebody gets hit.
Somebody's gonna get hit. Are you ready? What to do?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Man, I thought you were shooting targets, bro.
Target is alright. You gotta be safe at home too.
Nah, but you know, man, the extended bags, man, it's so much fun.
They can be, but also if you just have 10 mags, then you can practice changing your mags when you don't. You know. More than you are. He's loading up.
I just got mine, so I just wanted to have some.
So after tax will be 104.
I just got my 9 millimeter. I need to play with it before I just go buy all the ammo.
Well, then you need target rounds too, man.
No?
If you're just getting hollow points.
Oh, I know how to shoot.
Yeah, but you don't know that gun.
I found it. No, I got no cash. How about my car?
He's got $1.
Oh, no, right? Why I could hit it?
I'm not in the truck, so I can't. If I was in my truck, I could.
Check him.
I roll with you.
Why I could hit the packet water?
You was fat yesterday, what happened?
I put it in the bag. Like the color.
And then you're just getting the 2 boxes
Yeah.
of hollow points. All right. So the total on the card comes out to $44.50.
What is it,
Y'all be on YouTube or something?
I am. We actually have.
You?
Yeah.
You know, cause you look like I've seen you somewhere.
I
watch a lot
I
of
just started.
miscellaneous
I
stuff.
just started a channel like a month ago. Sir, can I get your signature on here?
Oh, yes.
You might have popped up on my career or something.
Yeah.
You do like TikTok or what?
No. I mean,
regular
I've
information
cross-posted a
videos
little bit to
or-
TikTok information
Yeah.
about if you get denied, if you get delayed,
Yeah.
stuff like that. But yeah. Yeah, I thought you saw the little camera. We're supposed to have a news crew coming in here to do
I'm
a.
on camera? Oh,
I'm on
yeah.
camera. You're not on camera.
Still, right?
Yeah.
So I'm on it.
Well,
It's
so
my personality.
y'all are driving the same kind of vehicle that news crews drive, and we're expecting a news crew to come to a spot.
Set up for us.
So
Oh, man.
we're expecting them to come to a spot about securing firearms.
Okay.
So that's why I got all this crap out here on the counter.
Oh, all
So,
right.
yeah.
I get it.
And I hit record just to have some footage and see how everything's lined up. But yeah.
Last time we're professional over here.
He just used the just on the spot.
Yeah, it'll be fine. And then put this in your lap or yeah.
I had this over here.
sir. You too.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Have a good one.
It actually worked that well because he was buying a gun and we had two other young guys come in that were buying ammo and stuff. Yeah.
Maybe a little bit more background on yourself. How long have you been like a gun enthusiast or at this shop?
So I actually grew up in a state that wasn't too gun friendly, and my parents didn't believe in guns. And I've been in Texas coming up on 7 years now, and that's really kind of when I started getting into it. As far as being in the business, I've only been in the business about 1.5 years. The store's been open right at a year. I think we're almost right at the 1-year anniversary, oddly enough.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
So I know on the phone that we spoke, you said you're a big advocate for safety. What are some of the top 3 ways that maybe Southeast Texans who have guns at home to protect themselves can protect like their kids from, accidentally grabbing this or,
Well,
accidents?
the biggest thing is access and then separating the firearm from the ammunition. So if you have a carry pistol or a bedside pistol, which seems to be pretty popular down in this area, when you're not in bed, lock it up. And that can be done in a couple of different ways. Just hiding the ammunition separate and locking the ammunition up. Or locking the gun. There's a few different ways to lock a gun. I've got some gun cases here that was going to kind of show you how to do that. And I have a brand new gun in a case. So if somebody's buying a gun, this is what they're going to go home with. So that's always a good place to start, is what do you already have available. And this is a Glock 43X, which is a popular carry pistol. First thing I'm going to do is show the camera that it is clear and safe. There's no cartridge in there, no bullet in there, and the magazine is empty. So, no chance of anything going off. Now, we have these tied because we do gun shows. So let me cut that tie real quick. The wind catches the door. So every new gun will come with, every new pistol rather, will come with a lock of some kind. And they're just a basic cable lock or a lock appropriate for that particular pistol. The way that those locks are supposed to be used, I've got an open one here that I was going to use. The way that those are supposed to be used is just, they come with keys, you unlock them, you pull it out, you lock your firearm open to the rear, you run the cable up and through the chamber, around to the lock, and lock it. So what that does is that prevents any ammunition from being able to go in there, and the striker from being able to actually hit that ammunition if something did happen to get left in there. So that makes it unusable, unless the lock is removed. And you saw it took, 30 seconds? Put the lock on there. So it's a really easy step to do. Some guns will go one step farther. In addition to coming with the lock, on their case, they'll have little eyelets. So you could always lock the gun and then also lock the case. Now, that's pistols. Rifles and shotguns don't always come with gun locks, but starting in February of this year, the ATF mandated that every dealer that sells a gun have a lock available for purchase that works with that gun. So if you're buying a gun, ask if it has a lock, and if it doesn't, you can just go ahead and buy one. Alternatively, a safe is always a great option, as long as the kids don't have access to it. We don't know what's going on in kids' lives. I know when I was a kid, my parents didn't have a clue what I was doing. And I think a lot of parents take for granted that they know everything going on in their kid's life and they know their kid's okay. But they don't necessarily know about the bully or the friend who's decided to not be a friend anymore, or whatever other life drama is going on. And I was just looking at the news this morning, and there were, I want to say, 2 young kids got killed. They're saying murder-suicide, but I think it was more of an accidental, grabbed it one way, grabbed it the other. And any day you look on the news, it's ridiculous how much that happens. But it takes nothing to lock a firearm.
Right. And these are like some of the ways that they could lock it, not only in their home, but also in their car. So a lot of people here like to keep.
So I personally do not recommend having a vehicle gun. If you are going to ever leave a vehicle in your firearm, you need to have a lockable box that is cabled to your vehicle. because it's not just a matter of a kid getting access, but that's where a lot of criminals get their guns. And that's a lot of the other crime that happens is with stolen firearms. A lot of the gun control talks about making it harder to get guns, but that only impacts the honest people. A criminal is still going to go steal a gun and do whatever to get a gun. But if you have to leave it unattended and not have the firearm on your person, getting a secure lockbox and cabling it to the vehicle some way. So the underneath of the seat somehow, so that if somebody breaks in, it's not just going to be a grab and go kind of a deal, because that firearm is going to trace back to you. And on that note, keep a record of your serial number somewhere other than where you keep the gun, because if it does get lost or stolen, you can report it then. And the only way that we have to trace guns is off that serial number. Now that said, it doesn't always mean that it's going to get found, because it has to be found to have that trace kick in, and that usually means it's at a crime scene or something like that, and you're going to have to wait to get your firearm back. But yeah, if you have to leave it in the vehicle, a locked, secured glove box to me doesn't cut it. Console doesn't really cut it. I mean, we see vehicles get broken into all the time where those are non-issues to a lot of criminals. So something designed for a firearm cabled to the vehicle, because otherwise it's just like giving it away.
In your professional opinion, like, what would you say to, like, parents who, again, have guns in their homes and, like, you know, like you said, you watch the news, this happens way too often. What are just some of the ways that should they be teaching their kids, like, gun safety, or, like, not to touch things, or, like, what type of way?
Absolutely teach kids gun safety. I know plenty of people that have kids that are as young as 5 and 6 that shoot. The key there, though, is the child not having access to the firearm without an adult present. And that's where I think a lot of the mishaps occur. Because we just went out shooting this past weekend, I know that they're good. I know that they have good gun practices. Well, they have good gun practices under your direct supervision in a controlled environment while shooting. They're still a kid. That doesn't mean that their mental state's all there. It doesn't mean that they truly know how to check the gun to make sure there's not a cartridge in it. So it's kind of striking that balance of trusting the kid, teaching them safety, monitoring that safety, but still limiting their access until they are an adult and can be responsible fully for the safety and securement of that firearm on their own. Because ultimately, you're responsible for your child's actions, and if you let them get access to a gun, I couldn't live with myself if I had a minor living in my home and they caused harm to anybody because of my negligence by not securing a firearm where they didn't have access to it. And that goes back to not knowing what's going on in that kid's life. We all like to think we know, but unless we're walking in their shoes, we don't know what's going on. We don't know the grade situation, the teacher situation, the bully situation, the friend situation. You know, did I just lose my best friend to this new kid that came to school because the new kid seems cooler than everybody else, or whatever may be going on? Those seem like trivial issues to us as adults, but think back to when you were a kid and you were dealing with that kind of stuff. It was emotional, so don't take for granted that your kid's got a level head on their shoulders. They very well may, but they also don't have their decision-making, neurons all wired up yet, so just engineer it out. Don't let it happen.